Toronto Maple Leafs President and General Manager Brian Burke joins us here. Leaf Nation obviously welcoming you here at Gate 1.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Just a couple of people interested in hearing what you have to say, and a lot was addressed today at the press conference, and we'll talk a lot about that. But first and foremost, Brian, you've said it before, this is a major move for your family and a huge day for you to be taking over this particular hockey club.
Well, to me, from a family standpoint, it puts my kids in the same time zone for the first time in 10 and a half years. That was important to us. And then to get an opportunity to run a storied franchise like this, I mean, this is a worldwide brand, and it's an iconic brand in the National Hockey League, but it's bigger than that. And so to be given this opportunity to work here in Toronto, to be back in Canada working, it's just a wonderful day.
Brian, does high risk equal high reward when it comes to taking this job here in Toronto for you?
Well, if you're afraid of the risk, you can't do this job. It's like being a paratrooper. If you're afraid of jumping out of the plane, you're screwed. You can't do it. So to me, if fear of failure is part of it, you're not going to succeed. So I think most of us get that out of their system when they're assistant GMs. When they see that you've got to take risks to be successful. There's 29 other guys trying to beat your brains out every night. And if you don't step up and do some things to improve your team, you're going to get lost.
Brian, how much have you been able to see this Leaf team this year at all? Have you had an opportunity to kind of assess what has been done by Cliff up to this point?
Yes, and I think that Cliff made some moves that put made the team better. I think Hagman, who he brought in, has played extremely well. I think Grabowski's played extremely well. Luke Shen looks like a winner, and some of the guys that have been here. I think Jeff Fingers played well. And so to me, I think Cliff has done some marvelous work here. In my sense, I've asked Cliff to stay on, and we're going to talk about it on this road trip and figure out what would make sense for him.
Now, you've had a situation where your teams have been big and physical. Is that a blueprint for a Brian Burke kind of a team?
Yes.
Giddy up.
Yeah. To me, it's a couple of things. One, intimidation is a tool in a hockey game. You talk about goal scoring, goaltending, all those things, coaching, all the assets, all the tools in the toolbox that you have when you start a hockey game. Intimidation is one of them. And also allows you to bring in young players and allow them to develop in a fear-free environment, which I think is important. I look at Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry. I think a big part of their success has been that they're not picking their teeth out of the glass all night or getting face-washed after a save. So to me, it's about development. It's about winning hockey games, and it's also about the type of hockey I like to watch. I would rather initiate the physical contact than respond to it.
Brian, you've been a mentor to many. Tell us about your mentors in Lou Lamoriello and Pat Quinn.
Well, Pat Quinn, Pat gave me my start in the business. I think the world of Pat. A great teacher, wonderful, quiet man, a great teacher, and he lets you fail. He would let you do things, and if you failed, he'd bring you back in, but he'd let you do that. Lou Lamoriello was my coach for 4 years, a taskmaster, but a great role model, a guy that very intelligent, very organized, and his philosophy is if you're not going to do it right, don't bother trying it at all. So I learned a lot from both of those guys and from Gary Bettman. I know Gary's not as popular in Canada as I believe he should be, but from my perspective, I've had 3 great mentors to work for in my career, and other people as well, but those 3 in particular.
Are you surprised that it's taken this long to get back together in a working relationship with Ron Wilson again?
Well, it's how things work in our business. We've never been in a situation where I was looking for a coach and he was available, so we never really had the chance. He worked for me in Vancouver as an assistant coach in the minors in Milwaukee, and then as an assistant coach with a big club, and you saw his development. I think Ronnie was born to coach. When I played with him, you could see he was a coach in waiting. He thought the game very precisely and put a lot of effort into the science of the game. And to me, you could see he was going to be a coach, and then to watch him develop this whole time and turn into the elite coach he's turned into, I'm not surprised.
Brian, what kind of a time frame will you look at as far as change in this hockey club between now and say the trade deadline? Is this an assessment period, or what will happen?
Initially, you have to assess your team. You know this, Joe. You think you know your team, but you don't until you come in. So I think I know this team. I've got all the scouting reports. I've watched the team. It's different when you have them. I watch them every day and talk to the coaches and get to know them. We've got to do that, and it'll start on this road trip. I also want the fans to know about my trade deadline at Christmas time. There's a trade freeze that comes in the NHL on December 19th. I don't think players should get traded over the holidays. My own trade freeze goes in 10 days before that. So I've got to assess this team, and then we'll stop making moves on December 9th. I think it's unlikely we'll do anything big in that time period. just get to know this team.
Have you addressed the team yet?
I talked to them a few minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh, great. And I'm sure that it was a positive situation for them. I have to think that it has been a bit of an unraveling thing. Not unraveling, maybe, but uncomfortable for them not to know what was going on.
Well, I think so. And the speculation is that I don't like European players, which cracks me up. Mm-hmm. I think your team is divided into top 6 forwards and bottom 6 forwards, top 4D, bottom 2D. You need skilled people in that top 6. And you look at some of the players I've had, Marcus Naslund, the Sedin twins. You know, I had Merrick Malik on defense. I had Sammy Salo on defense, Matthias Olin. I don't care where the players are from. They've got to do a job that fits into our job description. It's like a symphony orchestra. They've got a first violin, but they got a guy built like me in the back with a tuba, and they don't start the show till they're both sitting down. So you need all those guys to win, and we've got to figure out guys that can perform a useful function for us. I don't care where their passport says they were born.
I'm looking forward to the music.
Consistently on your front office staff, also Dave Nonis.
Well, Dave Nonis signed a contract. He worked for me in Vancouver. He signed a contract, which is somewhat unusual, that he is on a very short-term contract with the Anaheim Ducks, and he is free to seek an assistant GM or GM job with another team, and that's something that we're going to look into very quickly here, very shortly.
So, Brian, we look ahead to this game here tonight. Your family's here. This is a complex situation, but in reality, you have simplified your life, haven't you?
It's a huge day for me professionally. This is one of the great franchises in pro sports on the planet, not just in the NHL and not just in Canada. You go worldwide. This is a worldwide brand. To me, it's a huge opportunity, and I'm so excited and thrilled. I'm also humbled by it. This is a very hallowed franchise. It's a big responsibility that comes with it, but from a family's perspective, we've put our kids in the same time zone for the first time in 10.5 years with me, and that's a huge day for us.
You know, and watching the way you handle the Ducks and how family was involved with that organization as well, Brian, I think is very important. I mean, I saw Curtis Joseph walking in with his son today, who's welcome into the dressing room before a game and everything else. I think that's a very important aspect of it, isn't it?
I agree. And if your family, if there's something in your life that's more important than your family, then your priorities are messed up.
The only really disappointed people at this point are the frequent flyer mile handlers for the airlines that you know every other weekend. Yeah, the baggage handlers used to fly you back and forth from one coast to the other. Thank you for taking the time today, and we hope to see you up here at Leaf Nation HQ often.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Open invitation. All right, we're going to take a break, everybody. We'll be back with more from Air Canada Centre on Brian Burke night. He is your Maple Leafs president and general manager. We're back with more on Brian right after this. Stay with us, everyone.